Pregame.com.
We're back. Pregame.tv, Vegas runner, Bryan Leonard. I'm merely Steve Fezzik, a combination of Alec Baldwin and Mel Kiper Jr. Put together. You look like a famous person.
You mean weight-wise?
I don't know. I get a lot of different things.
Since Alec put on some weight, I'm closer and closer to him. We're talking football all the time here.
You look dapper. You look dapper. I think it's time we're going to have to go back, put the suits back on.
My wife.
Very good, very good.
Makes
it's football
look
season.
as good as I can look. It's football season. You're going to be breaking down the winner here, Steelers, Kansas City Chiefs. I think you said you're not going towards the side. We're going to be talking a little bit about the total. Now, let me. It's going to be interesting because, Bryan, obviously you're watching lots of these preseason. These teams can't score so far. 4 straight snooze fest. Let's start with Vegas runner. Is that going to continue, or are we going to see a change?
We're going to see a huge change. I absolutely love the over in this game. Free money.
Flipped your cards face up.
Yeah. We could play them like that. Just face up. Exactly. I couldn't have put it better myself. The average total in week 3 is about 42. If you look at all the games, 41.8. We got 40 in this game based on nothing more than perception. This is week 3. Let's not forget. This is the dress rehearsal week, okay? If you look at Kansas City, that's it. Just face up. I don't even have to. Don't even have to look. It don't matter. It don't matter.
Just ignore me.
Listen,
Go ahead.
Kansas City 2-0 to the under. Okay, so far in the preseason. But in the first game, total combined points against New Orleans 30. Both teams combined for 30. Week 2 against San Fran, both teams combined for 28. But if you look at Kansas City in the first quarter of the New Orleans game, they scored 10 points, 3 the rest of the way.
Alex Smith looked good.
In the first quarter of the San Fran game, they scored 10 points, 3 the rest of the way. The starters are going to play a little bit longer than we saw in week 1 and week 2. The only thing I saw with KC is that they're not deep. But the offense is fine as long as the starters are in there. And I think they're going to play into the second half. I really do. This is Andy Reid football. He takes week 3 pretty seriously. So as long as I have this first unit in there, the first half, I really think they're capable of putting up 20 on their own. I really do, even against this Pittsburgh Steelers defense, because I've seen some leaks over the first 2 weeks. And it's the offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers that has to get going, because this team's 2-0 to the under as well. They scored 1 touchdown in the first 2 weeks, and that was by Landry Jones. Big Ben has not gotten into the end zone. I really do think Pittsburgh knows they have a great defense already. Year in and year out, the team plays defense. I think all week in practice, it's the offense that has the pressure. Exactly. And I don't see them having too much problem scoring on Kansas City. So I really expect both these teams to put up some points. And with a total that's a lot lower than it should be, simply because of what happened in week 1 and 2, I think we're getting the best of the number as well. I made my line 42.5.
Bryan, you may or may not be aware of this. One of the better betting
he set it up like Chinese poker.
In his sleep.
I love it.
This is an interesting.
I love it.
I got an 8-6 in back. It's a total crap hand. I got a king 2 in the middle. I got a queen on top, because if I set,
we play Chinese poker now. It's a good gambling game.
There's 2 ways to set this, and you could. I mean, obviously, you could. This is probably. You probably want to put this. That's a mistake.
Yeah,
you want to put the
deuce
spades
down.
You want to put the spades in back, but the king in the middle, the queen up top is very strong.
That's strong right there.
Because the point is that queen high will beat some people, and then you could go to fantasy line if you make your 2 pair in the back, and then you get your kings and you get your queens. So
are we done with this football game?
Yeah. Enough with the cards. But Bryan, you may or may not be aware, like whenever teams play a snooze fest, the lower scoring the better. Typically, the next week, what Vegas runner was saying, teams work on the offense. Well, these teams have played 4 straight snooze fests. And the Kansas City team, it actually makes sense because the Saints always play a low-scoring game 1.
Week 1, exactly.
Week 1, and then they explode, which we were on the week 2 with the Saints over. But the
San Fran game.
But then the San Fran game, when they said they want to kill Alex Smith. Did you hear that? We want to hit him. We haven't been able to hit him for 3 years. So there was
get him out of the game and get him in there and get him out of the game.
So now I think I can see this being the situation where some points get put up. What do you think about 40?
Well, I got a few things to talk about. You first off, the 41.8, was it?
Yes.
Keep in mind, that was
the openers. And so far, nothing's moved towards the under. I was a little bit surprised. I haven't seen any moves towards any of the under.
Keep in mind, with the collective bargaining agreement, you don't have the two-a-days any longer. Scoring's been up a little higher.
Right.
So that would point towards the over here. Secondly, from your standpoint, I would rather play the first half over if you've talked about the second half.
Nose for it, though. Because now you're playing first half over 22.
Week 3.
Well, based on what has happened before, that may be another way to look. My only concern here is Kansas City. We never know who's going to play at this point. They might be holding some people out. Kansas City's best running back, as far as I know, isn't going to play. Pittsburgh's had offensive line problems.
Yeah, their
running backs have been banged up. If you got an offensive line that's struggling, you got running backs that are banged up, and you can't hand the ball off. You can't throw far downfield because you can't get protection for the quarterback, and you don't want to risk. If you've already got injury problems, the last thing you want to get out of this game healthy. So that's my only concern about this game. I'm not against you. I'm just throwing
right. I agree with everything Bryan said. The only thing that I disagree with, as much as obviously the goal for the Pittsburgh Steelers year in and year out is to get to the playoffs, get to the Super Bowl. They're that kind of franchise. But with that said, I think getting embarrassed on national TV, I think this is the kind of team, especially with Tomlin at the helm, who's won 70+% of his games in the preseason. I think they are actually going to show up motivated to win the game, to play good football. Because I could see if they had a good week 1 and then a letdown. But again, this is an offense that has been sputtering the entire preseason.
I'm going to give a bonus pick because Tomlin is 19-6 in the preseason. Now he's 19-8. They're 0-2 so far. And because of that, I don't think Andy Reid, you mentioned that they'll take this week seriously, but I don't think Andy Reid cares all that much about preseason because Tomlin's used
and it's on the road. He don't need to sell tickets.
He's used to winning in preseason, and he's also used to losing the first road game. These like 8-1, now 9-1 on the road, that first road game. So I fully expect back home that this is Pittsburgh's game. They're going to want to put up some points. I think if you can find a Pittsburgh team total over, I might like that even better.
Let me throw this at you. If I'm not mistaken, they turned the ball over 3 times last week,
yes.
the Steelers?
Yeah.
Normally, and Steve was the first one to point this out to me, when a team in the NFL has a bad turnover game, they're more conservative the next
following week.
Which kind of fits into what I'm talking about here with the offensive line troubles and everything.
Right. You're more careful.
You're a little bit more careful.
And the first week, the same thing. They had 7 penalties. They fumbled the ball in the end zone. They've been making mistakes.
Like when Dallas, for instance, they against Arizona, they lost 12-7, and they had 6 turnovers. That would be a case this week where I don't want any part of the Dallas over against Cincinnati because I think Dallas will probably be too careful with the ball now.
Right.
Because that's going to be a point of emphasis in practice, just what Bryan was saying. But I tell you, when I went back into the research, that whole the double snooze fest, 2 teams can't score in preseason. I know that's what both of them are working on all week long. Even if they don't have their first string personnel at all, at all the positions. I think you got the right side. I think you should make it.
I like it. KC at Pittsburgh, we're going to look at the total. I really do think this line's a little bit too low based on what happened in week 1 and 2 for both these teams. They put up 13 points each. That's it. But if you look at the Kansas City side, the first team offense went in there and put up 10 points in the first quarter in week 1, 10 points in the first quarter in week 2, just couldn't score the rest of the way. I think with the starters in a little bit longer, and we've seen Pittsburgh's defense get exploited so far in the preseason, I think KC is going to be able to score. Then you look at the Pittsburgh side, only 1 touchdown in 2 preseason games. I know they're not the kind of franchise that's going to panic, but they have seen nothing on the offense to get them excited about the start of the season. So look for the Steelers to get it going this week and get in the end zone. I don't think that's going to be a problem against this Kansas City defense. I like the over 40. I think they're going to get there.
I like the Steelers, so little bonus pick there. And Bryan, you don't have any free plays this week in NFL, but we're going to be talking about all the games, obviously, and finally about the LVH seminar that's coming up. I still call it the Hilton. So we got lots to talk about here.
Week 3, can you believe it?
I know. Thank goodness you said week 3 and not the. Remember when they said this is week 4? Like there's one newsletter out there that's a great newsletter. I won't mention it, but it drives me crazy because
they call it week 4. They count the Hall of Fame
the Hall
game.
of Fame game as a week 1. So in the teams, this is how they do in week 1.
That's like
5.
when they messed up the March Madness because the playing
game is round 1. No, it's the play-in. It's the play-in round.
Yeah.
Just like when we go to college.
Don't change tradition.
When we go to college,
I'm a purist when it comes
college
to
week. There is no such thing as the first week in college is not college week 1. That is college week 0. Then the next week is college week 1 and NFL week 1. Makes so much sense. So we don't say it's week 5 in college. It's week 4 in the NFL. I digress. I'm getting off
topic.
Points off topic, just like we did with the open-faced Chinese. I can't believe I didn't set the 2 spades in the back, which of course is correct. I love open-faced Chinese. It's definitely got to check out that game. Lots of good videos about how not to play. Brian shaking his head. Get to the point, Steve. Vegas Runner, you have coming up. You've picked these high-profile teams. The Tennessee Titans. The Titans are hosting.
I love my picks.
Your Atlanta Falcons. He's going to come back, provide you hopefully the winner on that game. Stay with us. Pregame.tv.